Salesforce is up to something like 40 certifications, and we're now moving away from this idea where you can get away with not having certifications, or I'd even say few certifications, right? Which you definitely can do it, but because they're coming out with so many more, you're getting these expectations from companies to earn more certifications, prove yourself in these different areas. And so it's just becoming part of the cultural norm here that you need to learn how to earn these certifications quickly and be able to knock them out fast. So what I want to talk about today is how you can do that. I've known people in the community that have earned anywhere from 5 to 10 certifications in a single year just because they have a great study program and they know how to attack these things and get them knocked out quick. So I've talked with them and I've figured out what that strategy is and I've broken it down for you. So before we jump in, this is going to be coming from my Salesforce newsletter that I send out every single Saturday called Simple Salesforce. It's free. It's always free. I think we're up to 3,800 subscribers at the time of the recording this. So feel free to sign up, and that's where this information is going to be coming from. You'll get it in your inbox every Saturday morning. So for this one specifically, right, number one, here's the number one mistake that I see people use, which is not scheduling a date, okay? So what they do is the very first thing you should do is you should jump in and set a time frame for when you're actually going to take that certification. What people do, myself included, when you have a big project coming up is you want to procrastinate and you don't really want to tie yourself down to a time when you actually have to complete that thing because you're nervous about it, you don't feel prepared, it seems like a tall task. So what we do is we just kind of say, oh, I'll study for this, but you don't really put in the time or effort because you don't have a date holding you down saying, well, I got to take it at this time, right? You just kind of know, well, if that date comes, I can push it off. So the number one thing you want to do before anything else is schedule a date to commit to so that you can make that happen, okay? And that's going to dramatically cut out, just like I put here, dramatically cut out the amount of procrastination you're going to put in. Once you have that date, you know that that date is coming and it has to happen on that time frame. And so it's going to push you to study accordingly to get it done for that time frame. So number one, schedule a date. Number two, you don't use focus on force. Now, a lot of people, when they want to study for a cert, maybe it's their first one, they don't know about this hidden gem called Focus on Force. It's a third party that you can go to. We'll take a look at their site. But you go here and they have both practice exams as well as study guides, and it's super, super great for a lot of the first initial certifications you're going to knock out, your admin one, your platform app builder. I don't believe they have every single certification on here, but they have quite a bit of them that you can get in here and take, especially when you're just starting out. They're going to have probably all of the ones that you want to take right off the bat. And I've personally used it. I love them both. You do have to pay for it. I think it's like $20 or something like that per study guide and per practice exams. Now with that though, it comes with several. So your practice exams on the admin one, let's say, you get 6 practice exams, and I think 5 of those are the full 60 questions. One of them's a short one with 20 questions. And then you have a study guide that's going to go along with that, showing you with screenshots and visually, which if you're a visual learner, most of us are, it's really helpful to see where things are in Salesforce versus just reading words. So I think it's really, really good money spent. I wouldn't try to study without it. So a really great resource here is Focus on Force. So mistake number 2 is that people don't go to this place and enroll. They try to go on Google or go to Quizlet or figure things out on Trailhead. And you might be able to do it that way, but this is going to cut out a lot of the time and make it more focused so you feel prepared when you go in to take your certification. So definitely sign up for Focus on Force. Highly recommend that one. The next one here, mistake number 3, not reviewing the exam guide. Okay. Now the exam guide, so how these certifications are set up is they are weighted. They're multiple choice, but they are weighted. So you have different sections, and different sections might not be worth a lot, or they might be worth almost the entire test, right? So what you want to do first is you want to kind of figure out how you can hone in on those most weighted sections. Because if you take these practice exams leading up to it from Focus on Force, and you're realizing like, hey, I'm missing questions, but they're in these sections that are worth like 3% or 10% or whatever, you might not need to spend a ton of time trying to focus on those things if you're nailing everything else. And also the reverse, right? Like if you're doing really well in those areas but struggling with something that is on the 28%, well, stop really worrying about the ones that are these small sections and go and focus on something that's 20% or 25% or whatever, because once you miss one of those are going to be the majority of the questions. They're weighted higher, so it affects your score a lot more. So trying to review the exam guide, which you can find through Trailhead, and it'll give you an outline, right? And it kind of looks like this. So you can see here, right? You have your object manager, 20%, 12%, 11%. So it shows you what you should be focusing in on, and then you can adapt your studies accordingly to these weighted sections. Mistake number 4, not creating a study plan. So you definitely want to have some type of plan. Once you've signed up, you have a date, you have your study material, you know the exam. Okay, well then the next part that people mess up is they don't put a plan in action of how they're going to actually study for those things using those resources. And so they kind of sporadically learn. They might spend one Saturday studying a lot and nothing else. They might try to get in a couple minutes here or there. But what I really recommend you do is go into your phone, if nothing else, and set a time frame for when you're going to study. If you need a lot of study, set something like 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes every other day or whatever it is that you need. And I would just say, instead of overcomplicating it, just put it on your phone, put a little alert, do it at a time that you're going to be available, and have that thing pop up to remind you, so that you got to go in there and study and do something, so that you are preparing the entire way. You're not trying to cram for it. It's some knowledge that you're able to recall over a longer period of time. Just the way to do it. This is school 101, but really recommend doing this, and it's a big mistake that people make. Okay, cool. And last thing I want to plug here is, if this is you and you are in this situation where maybe you're more of a beginner, I do have a course that I have created, as well as a private community. And what it is a place where you can go and learn Salesforce skills, market yourself online, and get prepared to take your certification, which are like the 3 main things you got to do to be able to get inside and get a job. So I've been able to do that for myself, kind of did it the hard way, didn't rely on anybody, figured it all out. Well, 5 years later, I'm just taking exactly what I did, taking all those shortcuts and putting it into a course for you so that you can do the same thing. So if this is you fall into that category, awesome. Definitely recommend signing up for that. You can find that on my website or in the link below in the description. If not, and you don't land in that and you just thought this was a cool video, really recommend signing up for my newsletter. It's 100% free, like we talked about. 3,800 subscribers. Send it out every single Saturday. It's always going to be free. So really recommend you signing up for this, if nothing else. All right, appreciate you watching the video.